So hopefully the sound works now. And I guess we're going to find out. Hey, Jonathan, I'm going to let Jonathan dive right now because no one got to hear, I don't think, his talk about micro macro. For those who are getting on, they can just hear it as they're getting on, and they can go back and watch this at a later time. So this will be part 2. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up the Dean. Do you have it? Hold up, Dean's. Do you have it ready, Dean?
Yeah, give me just a minute.
Okay, let me pull you back up here. Okay, so Dean's ready to share a screen. Okay, go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm just going to start over with this as if I didn't say anything before. So, like I was saying before, we were so rudely interrupted by John, who apparently doesn't like to hear anybody else talk. So much so that he muted everybody for good. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. So we were at the con. We were waiting on Dean. Again, I'm going to make fun of Dean here. He disappears sometimes, and we can't find him, and he can't talk to defend himself. So me and John were walking around looking for something short to play while we waited to find him. And we had seen these on the table all weekend. I really didn't know much about it other than that it was a Spiel des Jahres winner and that it was kind of a legacy-ish game. So we were like, you know what? Screw it. It doesn't seem like it's a long game. Let's just go over there, give it a shot. So there's 16 scenarios in this game, and it's basically adult Where's Waldo. Would be the best way I could describe it. But you've got this huge map, and this is a very zoomed-in picture, so it's not really doing it justice. But it's this huge map. It's black and white. There you go. You can see how big it is. And you have a magnifying glass that you can use. And basically there's this the scenarios of these cards. And the first card is going to be like, find the guy without the sombrero, he's missing his sombrero, and he is watching the soccer game in the park. And you're going to do that. And so if you can see there's grid lines on that map, you're going to make a guess as to where he is once you find him. So you might say he's an E4. Then you're going to flip the card over. It's going to tell you which grid he's in, and it's going to tell you like if you're correct or not. So the lead investigator is the one who checks that out. John did happen. If you are correct, then you move on to the next card. If you're incorrect, then the lead investigator is eliminated, and then somebody else will become the lead investigator. So you win this game by making it all the way through the cards and guessing correctly every time, and you lose the game by guessing incorrectly too many times based on player count. So for those who don't know, I am definitely a mid to heavy Euro player for the most part. I will play some Ameritrash. I do like my Twilight Imperium, but this is not really normally my jam. However, and John is the same way. Me and John have very, very similar tastes when it comes to games, and we were both just instantly drawn to this. We were, kind of giggling a little bit while we were playing, and just getting real excited when we found the right clue and everything. Instantly, as soon as we were done with that first one, the discussion was, do we want to play a second one, or do we want to wait until we can play this with our families? So to me, this is hope you didn't break it again. To me, this is the perfect introduce non-gamers to a game. If you just had a couple over, to have dinner one night or something, and they were not gamers, you could bust this out and you could play through one of the scenarios, have a good time. You could, it could be a beer and pretzels game. It could be a family game. I don't think you could play this with kids. If I remember correctly, there's some maybe questionable things in the first one. I think the second one has some age warnings on it.
Yeah. I didn't notice anything in the second one that we were playing, but I didn't.
So
we were playing. There was someone dragging a body, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
So it's right. I mean, it's nothing that I would mind.
It's not graphic. It's just suggestive.
Yeah.
If you see a drawn cartoon man dragging a woman through a house, you don't think good things. But this is, it's Crime City. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
And we actually just for everybody's, so we played the second one. We still haven't played the first one.
Full House, I believe.
Yeah, Full House is the one that they had on display there. So that's what we're actually talking about, not just the regular one.
Yeah, the Full House one had the suggestive things. That's not.
No. It had ages on there, so it had this one's appropriate for 8+ or whatever.
Okay.
The first one did not, apparently. We had heard that after the fact.
Yeah.
But we only played one scenario because we didn't want to spoil the game for ourselves because we wanted to be able to play this with our families. I can't give a game a higher praise than saying that we both bought it on our phones while we were sitting there.
I mean, when you share, Jonathan, you are a 3.5 to 4 weight, medium to medium heavy.
Lacerda, Fister, Suchi, that's what I play.
I'm not quite as heavy as Jonathan, but I would say I mean, I do.
I am a bigger guy than you.
I often tend to gravitate more plays towards the 3.5-ish range, and maybe slightly under that. So we are walking by the table, and I go, we have to try the Spiel des Jahres winner, right? Like, we just have to try it. I've heard all these things about it, and I've often seen it and kind of rolled my eyes, like, is this a board game? You know, should this
right exactly
Spiel des Jahres? Like, and so I'm just like, all right, I guess I've got to give it a try.
An activity.
It's an activity, and yeah, I could actually make an argument that it's not a board game.
Yeah,
I could argue it's not.
I said, where's Waldo for adults?
That it's more of a puzzle or something like that than it is an actual board game. I don't care. It's still a lot of fun, and we did. I bought it immediately on my phone. It's coming for my kids, basically. Would I buy it for just myself and my wife? Maybe. But because I have kids, or for like inviting people over, I think it would be so fun if you had a family or a couple comes over and you lay out this big. It's a pretty big map.
It's a big map, yeah.
So you need a
dining room table, basically.
Yeah, you lay it out and you start investigating. I could just see going through, scenario after scenario after scenario, going, oh yeah, look what we found, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad Dean didn't get to play this, because I think this might have been.
He would love this game.
Yeah, I'm probably going to order this one.
Darren would like it too. For sure.
This was the Full House, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
With Bob Saget in the game.
Yes.
Excellent.
It was just DJ.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Y'all, those out there, Dean loves Full House still to this day and watches. Is the new one still happening?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any of the new ones.
Oh, I thought you had. Sorry.
My wife did.
My wife was watching it, and it was just awful. Like, I was like, how are you watching this? Like, how? Anyways,
it's corny.
But if Jonathan hadn't talked about this, it might have been one of the ones I talked about. It was on my short list. So anyway,
I just thought it'd be a good one for me to talk about, because this is so not my jam. And to let people know who might have written it off like I did. I mean, literally, when the first time I saw anything about it, I was like, never going to play that.
Yep.
Never in a million years.
So you can win or lose in this one, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we only played the first one that's an introductory. I can't imagine losing it, but
no, I mean, yeah. So like Jonathan said, whoever is a lead investigator can't guess anymore because you know the answer. That's why. So I mean, if you had 20 people playing the game, I don't know. I just skimmed the rules, so like it's possible I read something wrong. Like I didn't notice anything like you have 3 strikes and you're out or anything. Ryan's asking, is it one map for the game? I don't think it's double-sided, but it's a huge map and it's really small. Like they give you a magnifying glass. We didn't use the magnifying glass, but like I think you'd be really surprised at how much is going on this giant map and how small it is. How many scenarios were there? Like 16?
There were 16. Yeah, I believe there were 16, and on top of that, it's like $22 or something.
Yeah, I paid $21.99, I think.
Yeah, so affordable for what it is, and you're like I said, you're only going to play through it once. It's one of those games too that like almost like an exit game. I think is it Exit the one that you can replay? That it'd be good to like finish, and then you could actually. No, it's not.
It's Unlock. There's
Unlock.
Well, I mean, there's several, but the Unlock is the one you might be thinking of. Yeah,
I've obviously never played those either, but you could pass it along. So like,
you don't mark
if you're playing it. Yeah. So like, if I'm playing this with my family and I'm done with it, I might give it to a couple friend or something so that they can play it afterwards.
That's right. Or if someone else is coming over, you can just kind of not show them, guide them a little bit. Like, hey, have you looked, over in this area, but not actually give them the answers. And I think they would have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Surprise.
All right, let's move on to Darren. Darren, what was your next game that you want to talk about?
The last game I'm talking about was actually the last game that we played, Jonathan and I, very quickly on Sunday morning. Played Origin's First Builders before we had to run out of there and get back to the hotel and get to the airport. But Origin's First Builders, this is an Adam Kopinski game who you might know from Nemesis and Lords of Hellas. So again, I love Nemesis, love those styles of games. So this was a little bit of a change. I was very curious to see how this big crunchy Euro of his would be. And It is a board and dice game, and so it has a lot of those board and dice tea game kind of feels. It too has a historical setting. It is set back in the time when aliens visited Earth and taught our ancient civilizations how to build and grow and do all those things. So I really appreciated that. It does play 1 to 4 players. It's about 60 to 120 minutes. And there were 3 of us playing, Jonathan and I, and a guy named Mac who taught us the game. Thanks a lot, Mac. You did a great job. And it took us right at 2 hours, probably more because of me, because I am slow. There is a lot going on in this game. The rules are simple and straightforward, I think, but there's a lot to go. There's a lot happening. It is a dice drafting, dice worker placement game, which is like one of my favorite mechanisms ever. Like I said, the turns are simple. You take a colored die and you place in one of these encounter sites, which is basically different colored UFOs that have these little pip values on them. And whatever pip value is showing on the UFO at that time, the die that you place has to be either equal to or greater than that pip value. And so when you put your die there, you've got to rotate the UFO so the value of it will increase next time. But when you go there, you get to collect all these resources, that the aliens gave us. Things like wisdom and stone and wood and food and all that jazz. And so you collect these resources, and like a good board and dice game, there's lots of tracks that you can spend these resources on. You can go up a Zodiac Temple track and collect these special cards that give you special abilities that are also worth points, how far you go up the track. You can take these resources and you can go around the military track, which is for turn order, also more resources and points. You can take these resources and you can go and build a little tableau of these little octagonal city tiles that have colors that match the UFOs and the colors of the dice that have these special abilities you can take, and you can build out your little octagonal tile city there. And over the course of the time, after you pass and you collect all your dice workers and you bring them back, you increase their value by 1. And then eventually you do this enough where you have to retire some of your dice, which then gives special powers to your Archon, who's like your city leader, and that gives them special abilities. There's a lot, like I said, a lot happening there, and I was worried of how all these different mechanisms and tracks would flow together. And this is one that I thought I wanted to pick up, but I wanted to try it first because I was worried about how it would flow. And I think Jonathan would agree. I don't want to speak for him though.
I popped us on here so Jonathan could share with
Yeah, I feel like they flowed really well. I love the strategy of it. This was one that I think I will. They sold out by Sunday, but this is one that is on.
You had your chance, Darren.
I know.
You blew it.
But I didn't have a chance to play it. But now that I've played it, it's on my Christmas list. Somebody will buy that for me, or I will buy it for myself.
So it gets your thumbs up. It was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd give it like somewhere between. I'm hovering on an 8 on this one. I'd like to play it more though. There's a lot that I needed to learn. Jonathan even helped me with the last turn just so we can get through with it faster.
Yeah, we were trying to get out of there to catch our plane, and then we sat in the airport for like an hour and a half. So,
wow. What did you think of it, Jonathan?
I gave it an 8 after one play. I went back and looked because I was curious. I think the BGG rating right now is a 7.1, which, I mean, that's still a good rating, but for a new Euro board and dice game, that's a little low, and I was kind of curious what it was. And a lot of people said that they felt like it was a little long.
How long was the game that you all played? So you played for a while. Because Dean, we were talking when we were playing Seas of Rundar. I was like, they've got to be done, right? And they weren't.
It was probably right at 2 hours. I think the reason why mostly though is because it was 3 new players. Like I feel like if you had people who played it before, you could get it down to an hour and a half pretty easily. I get the criticism, but I also just liked everything I was doing in the game. So I'm not one of those that bothers me, like a length of a game usually, unless it's something that's super repetitive. And some of the actions, because for the most part, your main 6 actions are the dice actions. And I could see where some people might not like that, but the tiles were different in how you were making those interact. And I feel like also, because this game isn't round-based, and it's based on, I think there's 3 different in-game triggers, once you became proficient at this game, you would figure out a way to end it in the time that you wanted to end it in. And that would be a part of the strategy,
Yeah.
I think, forcing the end game because like one of the major ways to score points, he kind of hit on it. It's those temple tracks where there's 3 different tracks and there's powers at the top of each of them, which are awesome, the ones that we play with. And there's a whole set of them in the box. So that's going to be different every game. But basically, you take away your highest and then you score points for the other 2. And all the tracks went up to 70 points. So theoretically, if you maxed all 3, you'd score 140. For reference, the winner scored about 150 points.
Here comes Jonathan.
I came in third in this game, by the way. So
I like that.
I like it
this
even more
game.
now. Let's
Yeah,
play
it's
it,
another one I'm
Jonathan.
winning.
The only way I outscored Jonathan was because he helped me on that last turn, I think.
Hey, you
Jonathan's
almost
like, sometimes
won.
I have to
He
play
was
against
Darren
myself.
lost by 1 point to the other guy we were playing with. But no, what I like about games like that is you could go for a long game where you're trying to score those points, but if somebody knows what they're doing, they're going to cut you off at the knees. They're going to go for that in the game by drafting the same color dice, because one of the things is once one of the colors dice runs out, then the game is going to end. And so you could really force that by taking specific actions. Yeah. And so there's a lot of strategy in that game that, honestly, what I like it felt like an Ameritrash game designer made a Euro, because a lot of Ameritrash games have those alternate endings where it's not just, you play 8 rounds. It's not some arbitrary thing. It's like a thing that's forced by the plays that you make in the game. And that's what there was in this game. And I liked that. For instance, I really like Civilization New Dawn, where some people don't, but I like it because you're doing Euro-y things, but you win by objectives, which is cool to me. Like that's just kind of a fresh thing. And so that's the thing that I liked the most about this game, is that cool. I could see some strategies in there for how to like force a quick end game that would really change up the pace of how you would normally play it. So
I like the theme of this one. I like, Darren, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say one of the things I really thought was clever. I liked the special ability cards on the Zodiac track, because once you got them, you weren't guaranteed to keep them. There were various ways throughout the game that you could lose them, and people can take them from you. And these are named after certain constellations, like Sagittarius and Cancer. And so it's really funny to hear guys going, "I want that Cancer." And it was an odd moment, but it was a lot of fun and lots to think about and chew on.
Cool. Yep. Clever Swine says, nice description, guys. I do want to make mention that Wendy got on and made comments, a laughing face, Jonathan, whenever we said that we like it better and that you came in third place. So
yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
She understands what it's like to get whipped by Jonathan too. So, all right. So it's my turn to finish it up here.
Yeah, let's do this one last one, and then we'll give a few minutes for questions.
Yeah, we'll give it a few more, because I might want to ask you guys a couple questions, and if there was something else I think maybe that stood out, we could pop in real quick and just kind of say it at the end. So, I'm going to talk about a game now that actually I didn't play at the con, but I got at the con, and I just felt like I really had to talk about it. This was number 3, I think, on my top 10 most anticipated games list mid-year, and this is Batoku by Devere. Dean and I have been loving everything that Devere comes out with, pretty much. I mean, gosh, I don't know when the last time we played a game of theirs that we weren't really at least liked a decent amount. So I played this. I started playing this. I haven't even finished my first game, but I had to talk about it because in this game, you'll see this board. It's kind of busy. There's a lot going on, but it's really not that complicated. Just some cool things about it. You're going to be playing a card. So though you have your, you've got yokai in this game, you've got Batoku in this game. You're going to be playing a card. And what's interesting is right next to every card is one of your dice that you're going to be playing. But you can't play the die until you put a card down. Then it unlocks the die. Except for you have these little pilgrim guys that are really cool. That are like awake and asleep. You can kind of see them at the far left-hand side of the screen. But if you have an awake pilgrim, you can actually give one up permanently out of the game to go ahead and unlock your die. So there might be a spot on the board that you're like, I have to go there. But I don't want to wait until I play my card, because if I do, Dean's already unlocked his die, and I don't want him to go up there. So I'm going to get rid of the pilgrim just so I can go to the spot on the board and get that, which I think that's a really cool mechanic. But the art is so beautiful on this game. The little yokai and stuff are so cool, and the mechanics are great. Like it's a hodgepodge of a lot of different things, and nothing is super strong. And usually I don't love that, but I love it in this game so far. I'm really liking it. So, for example, there's a little bit of engine building that you can get with some of these tokens that you're able to get over the course of the game, crystals that you can get. But it's not like huge engine building where you have these moments where you're like, I get 20 wood. That doesn't really happen. But you have a little bit of that. You are building a deck, but it's not this super heavy deck building game. Actually, I would kind of, even though I didn't like what is that game, Arnak, that much, because I thought I would that it built decks a little bit more. And this is kind of like that, though. You may get a card every round, maybe 2, probably not, and you're playing 4 rounds and the game's over. But the way that this game makes you feel clever is what I like about it. You play a card and it says, hey, if you doing this type of an action, then you get a combo and you get this resource from it, or everything is comboing, but it's not these big combos, which I like, because sometimes I do get a little annoyed whenever you're playing games where like this sets us off this and this sets off that and that, and you're just sitting back and someone's taking 10-minute turns. This is one of those things where I'm going to put everyone in here. This is one of those things where in this game that there's a lot of little satisfying combos. Like, yeah, pop, I got it. Played this here. And then another really cool mechanic, and I'll be done, is that when you place your dice, another thing that's going to happen is you can actually move the dice over the river to unlock other worker placement spots that you can't just go there. So you have to place your dice first, and then whenever you push it over the river, you have to turn your pips down 1, which that shows how powerful your dice are. So you're having to like get these amulets over the course of the game to keep your dice from being power 1, or you're not going to be able to play them, or not going to have very much power. So it's got a lot of really cool mechanics. And I haven't even finished my first game, and I'm already going, this is maybe my favorite game I've played this year. Little worried about how long this game's going to last. Like maybe pushing too long. I don't know yet. But wow. So far, color me intrigued. Batoku is solid. There you go. Kind of busy, Dean says.
You're right about Devere. I mean, there's not a game that I've played that I haven't enjoyed at least a little bit. But my goodness, it's beautiful, it's bright and colorful, but it's so busy looking. Coming from the guy who's,
I agree.
I don't know. It's pretty heavy, right? Or not? Maybe not super heavy.
It's not that so the box is heavy. It's 8 pounds actually. It's quite heavy. Oh shoot, I got you muted, Jonathan. I didn't mean to. I would
3.63 is what it says on.
Yeah. Here. Okay. Like, I mean,
that's about the same as Trajan.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Because, like, my wife, who, when we get to that 3.5 plus, usually kind of starts checking out and going, ugh. And she had a little bit of that, but not a ton. I was talking to Matt, the guy from Devere, right? He does marketing for Devere. Is that right, John?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Really nice guy. Wonderful. One of my highlights of the con was being able to meet the Devere folks. But he said most people that play the game, they're about 2 rounds in and go, okay, I get it. And I totally understand that. Like, at first you see a lot going on. The board looks kind of busy, and it does. It really does. It's beautiful, but I wish they would have maybe muted the board a little bit, to where you can see things pop, like the pieces pop more than just kind of getting lost in the sense of it. But someone came up to me at the con. Hey, we had a couple people that said, "Are you the Meepletown guy?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. Do you like Meepletown or not?" Because but he had mentioned that he had played it and felt like it was like a more complicated Gugong, like a little heavier Gugong, and I actually sort of get that. There's dice placement and some things that Gugong doesn't have, but the way the sections of the board work, but everything's kind of intertwined. And I like Gugong, so that really intrigued me. And I think that I might like this better for sure. So,
yeah. I sat down one of the points when you guys abandoned me. I don't remember which one it was. And I sat down like with some random people, and I picked up that rule book. And again, I play heavy games, and I opened it up and saw it was like 28 pages, and I was like, oh gosh. I just walked away.
Let me do this. Let me say this. I hate to say this because I love Devere, but that rule book I did not like at all. Like it
was scary.
It was laid out. I just felt, sorry, Devere. Like, I just felt like it was laid out poorly. It's hard to go back and look at things. And for some reason, I feel like it overcomplicated the game. I went and watched, I can't remember that guy that does a bunch of Euro games, how to play video. Starts with an N. I can't remember. Oh, no. Anyway, it's Games in a Nutshell, but I can't remember what he calls himself. Yeah, but he did a great job, and in 30 minutes explained the game. Like, oh, okay, I get it now. And so it was.
There is a video out there.
There's a video. Go watch that video. Please go watch the video before you.
I feel like with some companies you might just connect with the way that they lay out the rule books better. Because with Luna Capital, I didn't love the way that Luna Capital was laid out. That rule book was laid out either. I don't think it's a difficult game, but I feel like the rule book didn't help me learn the game as well as I'd hoped it would.
And you're right. It depends on how people want to compartmentalize this stuff. But yeah. So don't go watch that video, and then you can reference back at the rule book. But
let me go ahead and mention what Ryan's saying on here, because I think we're kind of moving into some of these questions.
I'm super surprised no one talked about this game, actually.
It was on. It would have been the other one I would have talked about if I hadn't done Micro America.
Okay.
So Ryan asks, any quick thoughts on Cotton Club? Did anyone get a chance to play Corrosion? So what we're going to do for the
Cotton Club.
That's right. But what we're going to do, I wanted to mention this real fast. What we're going to do for the podcast is John and I are really going to break down everything that we played and everything that we did. Some, really, really go in on that. So we're going to talk about Cotton Club then. But real briefly, I think we all enjoyed Cotton Club and it was a top 10 anticipated game coming out of Essen. So I was real excited to play that, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I was surprised. I don't know why, because I had looked at the others in the series. And I saw not some great ratings on some of those games, but it's different designers every time, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so I shouldn't have, but I thought the theme sounded so cool. Like, I mean, goodness gracious, Louis Armstrong. You got and I love jazz music, so you have all these people in there, and I thought it was a solid game. Like after one play, I'd give it a 7.5. Solid game.
Yep.
I could see it in my collection. I could also see it not being in my collection. I think it's worth trying.
And the great thing about it is it's about the same size as a tiny Epic box.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Which, for a game that was not that it was a super heavy game or anything, but it was pretty meaty for such a small box. To me, it felt a lot like Seven Wonders, because you had the prerequisites on the cards with all the symbols, and you kind of score points based on the symbols you collected. Not Seven Wonders in the drafting sense, although it is kind of an open draft. I mean, any kind of time you have a market where you're purchasing things in player order.
So it's got 16. For those who don't know, it have 16 cards. Is that right? Four rows of 4 to start picking
that's
from.
Right. Yeah.
And Jonathan's right though, but you may have to have a certain amount of influence. Isn't the right word? What is it?
One of the rows you needed influence, yeah.
Oh, that is right. That is right.
Yeah, and you spent the influence, so it wasn't a permanent thing like a lot of the other ones. And then the other thing you might need is guns, because you're kind of using gangsters to help promote your club. Yeah. So it's like singers and gangsters.
People might not like that.
But the other cool thing... Yeah. I know the other thing we really liked, and this is something I'm not a huge fan of a lot of times in games, is there's like an event deck. And so every round, one event is going to come up.
Cool part, actually.
Yeah, but then you actually get to affect the event deck, which is the thing that made me okay with it. Is that you got to stick cards in there that gave you scoring and stuff later, so you could kind of tailor it based on your own cards.
You start with 3 cards, right?
Yeah, 3 cards in 6 rounds, so you get to affect scoring 3 of the 6 times.
Yeah, and this one did go a little long in the tooth for we didn't get to play that last round because we had to move on to something else. But we were that would be my biggest complaint about that, is the length of the game was, for what it is, a little bit too much.
There's also a placement spot that you can go to, by the way, to look at what the events
look at whatever is played.
So you can see after everyone lays their cards, I'm going to go there, but it does take one of your spots, which is not great. Yeah, but you're right. I agree with you, Dean. That was my one concern. Was I think we were in the 4th round, and I think I mentioned I think I'm kind of done. I'm ready for this to end.
Yeah.
And I was thinking if it ended this round or the next round, I'd be happy. But then I was like, man, 2 more rounds. I kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. So Clever Swine asked if anyone saw Messina there, which we did not, unless I'm missing something.
It wasn't there. I would have been all over that. Boone Lake was there, and we didn't get to play that one because there was 1 copy in the first look area, and it was just person after person after.
In fact, on Sunday morning when I walked in there, like first in through the gates, there were people already sitting at the table, like they had clearly lined up to go and play that game. So,
yeah,
that's interesting. They only had 1 copy. That's.
Yeah, they had to air freight it over, I think.
Okay.
Europe. So, I mean, I think it was a cost thing. Somebody asked about Corrosion. That was the other one that was on my short list that I was sadly unable to get to. And they had 2 or 3 copies of Corrosion. And it was covered up the whole time as well.
They had a lot on that. I will say positively that, so for those who are patrons of Meeple Town, there's a level where you can vote on what games you want us to do or whatever. And this month, our patrons, as of yesterday, selected Corrosion. So thank you to patrons that you donate to us so we can go buy games and stuff like that. So I picked up Corrosion. Dean and I, hopefully in the next couple weeks, early January, maybe latest mid-January, should have Corrosion videos, and we'll talk about it on the podcast too, right, Dean?
Yeah. We'll talk about it on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Arc Nova, Clever Swine.
It wasn't there.
Tom Bassel just gave this a 10, and John and I talked about this a lot. It didn't make either one of our lists, but we both are pretty excited about Arc Nova, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was Best at Star Trek says, "Hey, what's going on?" What were some of the games were there any that you didn't get to play besides Boone Lake was really high on our list that we weren't able to play? Just curious as people are talking about that you were super wanting or even wanting to play. Corrosion's one of those I kind of wanted to play, but I didn't get a chance to play that one.
I'm like mentally walking through the tables.
Yeah, I am too.
trying to remember what we passed. Boone Lake was definitely the most disappointing one to not get to play. Like the first day I walked in there, I was like, oh, they have it. I want to play it, but no, I think getting Corrosion were the two. I mean, we got to play almost everything we wanted to play. That area
we got
was
to play
awesome.
a decent amount.
I spent almost the entire time there, so I mean, no complaints here.
The one that I didn't get to play was Dark Tower, but that was got my Kickstarter coming in hopefully soon. We'll see.
Best at Star Trek says best fan of the channel, big fan. How about that?
I think he was saying big fan of the channel.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Big fan. Big fan.
Darren, what about you? Was there anything you missed?
We didn't play Genotype either.
I didn't see that. Did you see that there?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't think it was there.
I don't think it was there.
No, I would have liked to have played the Siege of Rundar as well, but while we're doing that, while we were doing Origin,
I think you would have liked it.
The big one, yeah, I think so.
Were there any disappointments, like games that you played and you were like, I can start
his nose. No, my biggest disappointment was not getting to finish that game at Glass Road. We started at Capstone's. We were like 25 minutes in. It's a really short game, and he was like, "All right, we're done." I'm like, no, we've only got like 25 minutes.
He's good at getting people in and out of the booth.
Yeah,
and I get it. Like
I get it too, but I was just like, I want to, which is a good thing. I mean, the fact that I wanted to finish it is a good sign for what I felt about it. But
I enjoyed it for sure. If you haven't played Glass Road, it's definitely a quick game. And has some really cool mechanics with the way the resource wheel works. And I like the idea of laying down cards. And if someone has one of those in your hand, kind of Rialto-ish, like it matters what cards are being played by other players that round. I love that mechanic in a game. What does Clever Swine say? I think I saw Glass Road on your Clever Swine. I was into it. But we only played half of the game. I think we played 2 rounds, so I can't.
It's hard to know because we never scored.
I didn't love it enough to buy it at that time, but it was like $60, which I thought was kind of. It's weird. Like I just thought it was kind of pricey for kind of a smaller, quicker game for UVA. But I can pre-order it for like $42 or something on some website. So I'll probably do that. Dean has it. I'll probably play his first. I wouldn't say I was like blown away after 2 rounds, but I was like, this is fun. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. It felt like a big box UVA condensed down into an hour.
That's what it did.
I mean,
some cool little clever mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's pretty light considering a lot of.
Other games.
Sure. Yeah, I think the only people that will never touch Caverna or Feast for Odin that would be like, oh yeah, it reminded me of Newsford.
Yeah, that's a good.
I'm trying to say it the right way.
Weight wise, it's about like Newsford.
Yeah. So that was cool. I'll say one of my disappointments was a game that Dean annoyed everybody by talking about Siege of Rundar. I kept saying, I want to play Zapotec.
Oh, yeah.
Because I enjoyed, I probably got them like here on my shelf. Oh, I can't get it out now. Okay, like here's Ragusa, right? So there's Ragusa, and that was Fabio Lopiano. And right next to it, or right down there is Merv, if you can see that Heart of the Silk Road. And I liked both of those games, actually. I liked Heart of the Silk Road more. But I thought they're really solid. It seems that he kind of is in that like 7.5 to 8 solid Euro. Hasn't blown my mind, but has good games. So I wanted to see what this was about. And man, I did not like it. I didn't like it. I played with, Jonathan played with another group of people.
I played
But
a different table.
Darren and I played, and I want to play it again because I hope maybe I was missing something. But
I think the thing that you're missing is the fact that I was also in that game.
I said your name.
Oh, I just heard Darren. It cut out on my end.
I said John, Dean, and Darren.
Oh, okay.
You won that game.
I did. I did not like that game at all. I didn't have anticipation that I would like that game, but it was
I was happy I played it because it saved me some money.
Yeah,
I like the call.
I don't want to say it was a bad game, but like I can't remember the last time I played a game and thought this guy designed this for the mechanics and then slapped on the theme. Like it was 100% that he'd figured out this way to play a card where there's 3 different zones that all interact with how to build the buildings.
That was the coolest part.
And that was the coolest part, but everything else about it was kind of lame. Like I didn't feel like anything I did was cool. Like I never felt like I had a big turn or did something that made me feel clever. Like everything felt almost scripted, I guess. And like everybody was really just doing the same stuff every round. Now, positively, it was a fast game. So if you want something that's like a lighter to midweight Euro, it's 5 rounds and you play 1 action card and then you can do several actions off of that. But
I think all of us were like, "Oh, the game's over." Kind of
exactly.
like we were, but you didn't. Maybe we weren't playing as efficiently as possible, and I usually love games like that. But I was like, man, I really didn't get into it. Some people are gonna hate that. My wife hates games like that. I usually like it. I didn't like it in this scenario.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to go ahead and wrap things up. Sorry, I gotta be somewhere. I should say somebody has to be in the room that I'm going to be in. But we're going to be talking about a lot of these other ones on the podcast coming up. So make sure to tune into that. That'll release next Wednesday. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Jonathan, for joining us on the show. We had a lot of fun with you guys, and it was we had a great group for sure. John, tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel. If you like to support what we're doing, I mentioned patrons and having a chance to like vote on some of the stuff that we're doing. We probably wouldn't have done Corrosion, would we have, Dean? Like it wouldn't have been on our high list, but the patrons spoke.
I know nothing about it, so probably not.
After you hear the theme, I think you'll actually be intrigued by it. Everything rusts out. Everything corrodes. So anyways, but you can go to patreon.com/Meepletown. We are at Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm a Board Game Geek Guild 34/7.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
There we go. I'm going to close it off, guys. See ya.